Hey guys, how's it going? This is Jeff. Today I'm here to talk about Hawaii sustainable transportation. So here in Hawaii, just because it's an island and just because it's out in the middle of the Pacific does not mean that we can't think about sustainable transportation methods. We've seen in many other places what happens when you don't plan ahead for growth. Okay, so this, by the way, this is not me saying, oh, let's go out and invite everybody to move here. No, it's not about that. It's about the inevitable, which is going to happen. People will come. You know, whether we like it or not, anybody in particular, people are going to continue to come. Unless by an act of God, God decides to eliminate population on the earth systematically, trends are going to continue. The population of the earth is going to continue to grow, and that means more people are going to come to these islands. The best thing, the wisest thing that you can do, knowing this is inevitable, is to plan for this growth in a way that is sustainable. Okay, long-term planning, not short-term planning, 10-year plans, 20-year plans, planning long-term. So saying, will something that we lay out now be efficient and effective 100 years from now, knowing what we know now? We can't predict the future. We don't know what technology is going to look like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 100 years from now. But we do know that there are ways to build things and do things that will leave less carbon impact and be less detrimental to the society, including the land, which is the most important thing. So Hawaii is a very rare beauty on Earth, and a lot of people locally and globally would like to be able to preserve as much of Hawaii as they can for future generations, and because they just love the raw nature of Hawaii. And there's many places beautiful on Earth, so this is not just taking an approach that says that, oh, Hawaii is the only one that counts, because it's not about that. It's about sustainability, long-term planning. It's about using wisdom and understanding that things are going to continue to grow for future generations, your kids, their kids. It's just going to happen. So, light rail, it's happening in Honolulu. There was some controversy over bones, ancient bones. Okay, people, planners, urban planners have to be respectful of ancestors. They have the same situation here on the Big Island. Okay, whether you build a road, which we have roads all over this island, we have homes, cities, towns, plumbing, infrastructures, all sorts of things here. Whether you build a road or a light rail, okay, just compare the two. What takes up more space, a light rail system or a rail system in general, or a road? Obviously, if anybody who's seen a rail system knows rail. Okay, rail tracks, they're not very wide. A 4-lane highway is going to be a lot wider than a two-way, even a 4-way rail track. Okay, but we're looking at a 2-way rail track. It's the proposal. So the efficiency of it, okay, so it comes down to less carbon impact and more efficiency. So you got people that work over in, or live in Hilo and work in Kona, or vice versa. You got people who live on the south side of the island. So how do you design a rail system that functions in a way that makes things more efficient? So with proper planning, we can do that. Okay, that's what you plan for. You plan for not just how it is now, but also for future growth, and you plan for it by looking at history, understanding what has happened with natural disasters. So I'm proposing in the Big Island and other islands more rail. I think rail is appropriate, and rail systems, they just make sense, because if you've gone to Asia, Japan in particular, New Zealand, Europe, if you're going to go there, you're going to ride the rails and you're going to say, wow, we need more rails in America. But because cars are a big time, the auto industry is a big time moneymaker, and gasoline, big time. If you know this, why would you say let's get more roads and cars when we could have rail? Why would you think that? And then knowing what you know about the environmental impact, why would you not be on board with rail? Factor in the fact that it's more efficient to get around for workers, and even for casually casually visiting other places. Okay, so the second thing to talk about is waterways. Yet again, we're going back to Japan, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, South America. All these places have efficient ferry systems. Why does Hawaii not have a ferry system? But yet we have cruise liners, industrial boats, all types of boats, and then we say it's because of the environmental impact. We push a business underwater. Now, I don't know the exact story behind why they deemed the exemption unconstitutional for the ferry, and there could be things that I do not know, and I'm sure there is. But I would say that a ferry system in Hawaii doesn't just make sense, it's wise for short-term and long-term planning, and it's sustainable. Okay, now I'm not saying let's go rip through a bunch of reefs and everything like that, because if you create deep water channels like you have in Kauai or Hilo Harbor, or even if you wanted to explore other areas like Kealikakua, that's just on the Big Island. Now on other islands, I don't know the topography of the underwater landscape in Maui or Kauai or Oahu, but I do know that they bring cruise ships to other places, whether they're anchored out or not. That's another story. So let's look at more efficient ways to do transportation other than the old industrial way of more cars, more gasoline burning. Anything that burns gas, even airplanes. I love airplanes. That's how I can go to visit friends anywhere, or even travel or leave the islands if I should need to. Then I have to hop on a gas guzzling airplane, but fuel efficient airplanes, those are always good. Everyone should be thinking about more efficient ways to be less environmentally damaging. And usually when you become less environmentally damaging, you become more efficient in other ways, believe it or not. So instead of adopting a 10-year, 20-year plan here in Hawaii, let's think long term. Let's get with the rail, let's get with the ferry. And if I'm off my rocker, please tell me so, because as of right now, I'm finding it in conversations with people and in my own research and studies, I'm finding it hard to understand why anyone would oppose either of the two. And yet again, the thing with digging up bones or doing harm to ancestral burial sites, I'm not on board with that. Okay, so the stanchion thing, building stanchions above ground rail, that's a way to rip up less ground and just going above ground. So let me know what's going on with the way you feel about transportation in Hawaii, and also just please, when you do comment, realize that just because we're going to build sustainable, reliable, wise transportation plans does not mean more people are going to come to Hawaii. They're not going to say, oh wow, I want to come to Hawaii because they have really good transportation. That's not why people are going to come here. You're building a sustainable transportation system so that when people do come, which is inevitable, it's going to happen, they're able to get around the island in a way that is low carbon impact and more efficient. So if you got other ways that are more efficient and low carbon impact and do less harm to the environment, please, by all means, let me know. Thank you.